Hey, Jules Plus Vegan, and as always, thank you so much for checking in. I labeled this video Simplicity. Just that, a single word. Does it get more simple than that? I don't think so. On the other hand, simplicity is a very deep, profound topic. So there's nothing simple about that. But I've been realizing that, with the best of intentions, I'm sure it's with the best of intentions, simplicity has become very bogged down. And few things are simple anymore because people have put rules on them, guidelines on them. Certainly, our system, our law system, has put, rule upon rule upon rule. Initially, maybe out of a desire to protect people, but in doing so, they've just tied our hands so completely we can hardly breathe. Is that true for you? I think it's true for me. Anyway, I was reading a quote of the day, and this one is a really good one, and it falls in line with it. So it says, "The ability to simplify means to eliminate the unnecessary, so that the necessary may speak." By Hans Hofmann. I thought that was really powerful. We have to get rid of a lot of the stuff and a lot of the noise in daily life. We need to eliminate things so that we can even begin to see what's necessary. So we can even start to hear that inner voice that tells us our truth. I'm quite certain that a lot of people, one, they may not even be enlightened. But even if they are enlightened, they may not even want to hear that inner voice because there is some accountability in that. And, I indicated I'm doing the Tanny Raw Reset. And again, if you're interested in finding out more about that, you can go into any search engine and just put in Tanny Raw, the Raw Reset, and it'll come up. You won't be able to join again until like March. But one of the challenges that Tanny Raw did, again, a social media personality who's big into the raw vegan food, and if you're interested in that route, please seek her because she is a teller of truth and she tells it like it is, which is why she's so refreshing to me. But anyway, what she often says is that there's a lot of noise in this society. People are not engaged in truth, basically, right? And in her Raw Reset Challenge, she asked that we pick one word to represent our year. Hers was freedom, and I think freedom is so fabulous. Who doesn't want to be free? Free in their body, free in their choices. I mean, free is so fantastic, but because it was taken, the one I chose was accountability. Because I think in being accountable to myself, that makes me free. Being accountable to others and not having the burden of realizing I've let someone down or not been integrous in my choices. There's a lot of freedom in that. So I chose accountability because that makes me free. But anyway, what I was saying was people don't want to be accountable, so they just blame it on society. They blame it on how busy they were. They blame it on what someone did to them. They blame it on their inability to speak up for themselves. They blame it on their obesity, on whatever it is, their eating disorder, their alcohol. There's so many things to blame it on. But the truth is we're just not being accountable, even to ourselves, and certainly not to the Lord. Though He knows our deficits, He also knows that He agreed to not give us anything we couldn't handle. So are we, really living in the truth when we make up excuses for what we can't do? Or are we not zooming into all the inner strength and power that He gave us just by virtue of being His children and being created? Anyway, so thinking about that in simplicity, Jesus was certainly someone who believed in simplicity. From just eating a piece of, bread and cheese to, simple things like fruit and wine. Yes, they would get fish when they could, but on the road and stuff, they've just kept their food so simple. And then all the way down to our guidance in life. So if you go back to the Old Testament, there were 610 commandments. Everything from how you were supposed to look, talk, dress, bathe, on and on. 610. Talk about being tied up. And then it was simplified in the New Testament down to 10, which some people are still overwhelmed by, but they were actually life-giving and guidance for a better life. But then Jesus, when confronted, even simplified them further. And simply said in Matthew 22, verses 37 to 39, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. And he just got it down to 2 because he feels like that's the best way to live. Are you in touch with his Father? And are you trying to be loving to your neighbor? What I think is difficult, and no offense to Jesus, but what I feel like is difficult, especially in today's society with all the noise and all the chaos and all of the trinkets, that it is very difficult to love your neighbor as yourself when you may not even know how to love yourself. People are, when it said to simplify means to eliminate the unnecessary so that the necessary may speak, many people don't want to because they don't want to be in touch with their truth. They don't want to be able to hear that inner voice. They don't want to listen to their gut. They're more content to have others tell them what to do, to, lead them by a chain. It's too scary to be accountable. It's too scary to say, I'm responsible for this action. It's far easier to blame somebody else. Well, they made me do it. Let's go back to the Garden of Eden. And that was like the first time that people passed the buck. All the way back in the Garden of Eden when Christ showed up and they were hiding and said, we're naked. And he was like, how do you know you're naked? Like, hello, that's a concept you shouldn't even be aware of. And then, of course, they're like, well, the serpent made me do it. The woman made me do it. It was a blame game right away on the falling of man. Who made who do what, It's been going on forever. So again, you're not required to check in here. You're not required to be seeking health or wellness or trying to better your faith life. You're not required to do any of that, but for some reason you feel called to and you're daring to take the chance. Can you take another step and simplify so that you can actually hear in your soul, in your heart, what those steps are and not rely on people who are misguided? Or people who have no inner voice of any kind because they're not aware of themselves. So I'm just curious. I'd love you to share. There is absolutely no shame, no, judgment here at all. I'm just processing with you and honored to do so. So let me read these both one more time so you can ponder it, maybe share in the comments so I can support you. The first one, the ability to simplify means to eliminate the unnecessary so that the necessary may speak. And that's by Hans Hoffman. And the second one, from the Bible, New Testament, Matthew 22, verses 37 through 39. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. And of course that was from Jesus. So again, if you don't know him or his Father, challenge them. They are up for it. They will show up in your life. They will show up in your life everywhere and you will just giggle because your little child knew it when you were innocent as a little kid and just came from creation. I think that's why babies can't talk initially. They'd be giving out all the secrets of the universe so they can only babble and they know exactly what they're saying, but unfortunately we don't. And as they get older and they lose their trust and their guidance in their way, they no longer try and reveal those truths. But you know what? We're getting back to them, right? We are coming back to all those truths. We are free. We are accountable. And simplicity of all things is our best choice. No one can own you in simplicity. All right, peeps, you heard it from me here. Just processing with you on a Friday night. Hope you have a tremendous evening. I was going to say a great weekend, but why? I'll find you tomorrow, right? So until we talk again, as always, peace be with you, the truest peace, and be blessed.